Well, it was a big weekend in round 4 for the AFL. How did you go with your tips? Did you manage to get more than 5? I think 5, 6 might have been about the best. I saw someone with 7. How was your tips? We'll find out about the Statman. I think he did all right. He didn't get 9. He keeps telling me he's going to get 9, but maybe it'll be next week. But anyway, we'll see how we went. How did you go with your tips? It was a big weekend in footy, Jase.
Thanks, Clayton. Yes, let's go through our AFL tips from the week that was. And I've got to say, 6 tips, I think, is what I got over the weekend to keep the lead in the local footy tips. So let's have a look at the results from the matches in round 4. The Sydney Swans took on Essendon back on Thursday night, and it was the Swans in an absolute thriller by just 3 points in the end in that one. Fantastic game of football all round, and got to say, thoroughly enjoyed it. They've got some concerns injury-wise, the Swans, unfortunately. It's got to be said that not all beer and Skittles for them at the moment, and I'm sure that when they get some other injured players back on the park, they'll be much better for it. But Essendon have got some injury concerns of their own. Hopefully they'll get Jai Caldwell back soon, but they were very good against an informed Swans outfit. Unfortunately for them, not good enough to get the win on this occasion. We move to Friday night's game, which was quite simply put an absolute epic. It was Port Adelaide 11-13, 79 over Richmond 11-11, 77. Port supporters offering Damien Hardwick tissues at the end of the game, thinking that he might be requiring them after a tight loss, maybe with the same tissues left in the pockets from Port supporters from the preliminary final. Who knows? Either way, Damien Hardwick, I think, has got, 3 flags in 4 years. I think he'll be okay. But what a great game of football it was. And Port Adelaide probably lucky to get away with it in the end, but I don't think Richmond would be all that pleased with the way they played in this game. They had a bit of a rattle-on sort of late, which got them within striking distance, but Port Adelaide had control of this one for most of the evening. Moving on, we had the Western Bulldogs taking on the Brisbane Lions, and gee whiz, Brisbane at the moment, their start to the season, 1 win and 3 losses, struggling. The Western Bulldogs, top of the ladder, 4 wins from 4 starts, 10-13 to 8-6, a win by 19 points in the end. It was much more comfortable than that for most of the day. A couple of late goals to Brisbane, putting some respectability onto the scoreboard. But the reality is they were dominant, the Western Bulldogs. And whilst there was no heroics from Bruce this week kicking 10 goals, they were pretty inaccurate in front of goal, the Western Bulldogs, and should have kicked a few more. English booted 3 for them, and Aaron Norton was the main offender in front of goal. He booted 2 goals, 5. Could have had an absolute day out. But they live to fight again another day, the Western Bulldogs. Big game between St Kilda and the West Coast Eagles. This was a tip down the drain, and it was, for a long period, how far the Eagles. They led very, very comfortably by the better part of 4 to 5 goals for most of this clash. And then back comes St Kilda late in the third quarter, and they went on with it to run out eventual winners 15-12-102. The Eagles 13-4-82, struggling away from Perth to get the job done, the Eagles. And St Kilda, a much-needed win. It's been a disappointing start to the season for them. Rowan Marshall was back for the Saints. Unfortunately, he finished the game injured again. The big story here, Max King, the key forward for the Saints, he booted 5 goals. And Jack Petruccelli for the West Coast Eagles booted 4 in a fantastic performance from him. Moving on to one of the evening games on Saturday, and it was the Gold Coast Suns hosting Carlton. I thought the Suns would get the job done here, and in a game that was up and down for most of the night, the Suns did lead at various times during the game. It was pretty even for most of it, but the Blues kicked away late and ended up winning just by 11 points, 9-16 inaccurate, 70 the Blues to the Gold Coast Suns, also inaccurate, 8-11-59. So 11 points to the good guys if you're a Blues supporter, and back-to-back wins for them. Harry Mackay booted 2 goals along with Murphy, and Sexton booted 2 goals for the Suns. Got to say, Eddie Betts was pretty good. 1 goal, 3. Could have finished with a nice little bag full. Had 12 kicks, so good to see him back to form. And I got to say, a best man on the ground by a street, I thought, was Ed Curnow, who kicked a goal in his 32 possessions. Jack Bowe's best for the Suns. He had 34 touches. 31 of them were kicks. They love putting the ball into this boy's hands. So we'll see if that pays dividends for them in the long term. The Suns just at the moment can't quite crack it for a win. Collingwood in real trouble. They lost again. And GWS cracked it for their first win of the season. And wow, where are Collingwood at the moment? This was played at the MCG. It was the Giants 14-6-90 to Collingwood 9-6-60. And best on ground was Callum Ward, who stepped up to the plate when his team needed him the most. You could say the same about Tim Taranto. Between them, they had 71 disposals, Callum Ward having 37 of them, and they're missing quite a host of star players at the moment, the Giants, through injury. Collingwood just couldn't quite get the same contributions from some of their other stars. Still Sidebottom was the exception. He had 30 touches and performed pretty well on the night. Goal kickers, we have a look at those now. And Toby Green booted 5 goals, 1 for the night. But Jeremy Finlayson, good to see him doing really well. The boy from the Riverina, he kicked 4 goals, 2 on the night for the GWS Giants. If we move on now to the Sunday games, it was the Adelaide Crows heading to Melbourne to take on North Melbourne under the roof at Marvel. And it was the Crows who kicked away late after the North Melbourne side, winless at the moment. They headed into three-quarter time, just a couple of points in front. The Crows booted 8 goals to 1 in the final term to run out winners 16-13, 109 to North Melbourne, 10-8-68. Tex Walker continued on his rich vein of form. He booted 3 goals, 2 from 17 touches and 7 marks. Nick Larkey booted 3 goals also for North Melbourne, but 3 more went to McAdam and Fogarty, who came in for Rory Sloane and spent a bit of time up forward. Fogarty booted 3 goals from just 5 kicks on the day, if you don't mind. So that's uber efficiency there. And best man on the ground, without a shadow of a doubt, Rory O'Brien, who had 31 hit-outs, 24 touches for a big man. That's good stuff. And 8 marks. Lockie Scholl wasn't far behind him. 31 touches. The Crows love putting the ball in his hands. And Aaron Hall best for the Kangaroos. He had 33 touches, including 25 kicks on the day. The last couple of games, a surprise result here for Melbourne, who were too good for Geelong at the MCG. 12-13-85, 9-6-60. The Cats, make no mistake about it, the Demons are absolutely the real deal, and the Cats are struggling. The Brownlow medal favourite at the moment, Christian Petrarca, continued on in his rich vein of form, booted 2 goals and had 36 disposals. Max Gawn, outstanding, 41 hit-outs and 23 touches. And Clayton Oliver, who was tagged for the afternoon, made no difference to him. He still picked up 34 touches on the day. So they are flying at the moment, the Demons. Best for the Cats, Joel Selwood tried his hardest with 30 touches, but it wasn't enough. He laid 8 tackles as well, the Warrior, for the Cats. But Melbourne are absolutely flying right now. And in the late game, it was a topsy-turvy game, this one in the West. Fremantle started like a shot from a gun. Wow, they led by 28 points at quarter time. The Hawks came storming back in the second term to get within 13 points at the long break, and then it was up and down for the remainder of the contest. The Fremantle Dockers doing enough in the end, winning 13-18-96 to Hawthorn's 12-9-81, and the Hawks would be ruining that terrible first quarter, which saw them the better part of 5 goals down. Goal kickers, Darcy, the ruckman for Freo, booted 3 goals, spent a bit of time forward. Moore booted 3 goals for the Hawks, Tabernar 2, Collier 2, and then a host of singles for both sides. Leading disposal winners on the ground, Mitchell for the Hawks had 38 and was outstanding, and Nat Fyfe in his return for the Freo Dockers. He booted 6 behinds. Could have really put this game to bed. I'm not sure the last time you would have seen someone of Nat Fyfe's class booting just the 6 behinds from 31 touches. But either way, he was certainly in their best players. That's a week that was in the AFL. Some big matches coming up in round 5. We'll look at them later in the week, Clayton.
Yes, we will. And maybe round 5, you'll get the 9 winners for you. Make sure you're listening out for the Sporting Fix segment with your AFL tips later in the week, right here on Flow. We've got some English Premier League and some UEFA Champions League action to talk about. That's coming up next on tonight's Sports Fix.